one thing I noticed when I first came here is like walking home at night when you're in America, as a woman especially, you feel primed to like be careful. And you're always like on like paying attention, you're on edge about things.
Mm.
And I noticed walking home from a bar one day that it was really quiet and like really peaceful. And like I was like afraid for no reason. And I realized,
So,
yeah,
what has your experience been dating in Japan? What's the
hmm,
biggest challenge you found?
the hierarchy of like dating in Japan for foreign girls is pretty challenging because
Mm. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo, and today we're joined by Krissy Diggs, right? She is an illustrator located in Ishikawa in Japan, right? She also teaches English, but we're gonna dive into her story. Why Japan, right? Why art? All that good stuff right now. Krissy, thanks for coming on.
thank you for having me. Thank you, thank
Uh,
you.
all right, so tell me why Japan, why art?
Yeah, I was born in Germany, and with my dad was in the military. Then we moved to the States when I was about 1 years old. I lived in Kansas City pretty much my whole life. I think like a lot of people in my age group, like anime was kind of like a foundational like part of my life when I was younger. I was kind of like an outsider, and one of the ways that I kind of found myself was through art. And one of the things that kind of motivated me about art was anime at the time. And I think through that like through line in my life,
Mm.
you know, like I've always been passionate about art, and like I think the ultimate goal for me was just to like see what Japan was really like and experience that and live in it. And here I am, living in Japan.
Okay. So what was the introduction to art? Like what was your first maybe anime? I remember my first anime, right? So even now I have like a manga here, like I'm trying to like get some reading in.
Nice,
But
nice,
tell me, what
nice.
was your first anime, if you can recall?
Oh yeah, no, my first anime, of course, was Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
loved it. It used to come on at like 5 o'clock in the morning where I was from for some reason. So I would like wake up before school just so I could watch Sailor Moon. And I think one of the coolest things about it for me was like, you know, growing up in the 90s, there weren't that many female characters as like leads in
Mm,
TV shows.
mm.
And so it was like really cool to me to see these like girls like, you know, kicking and like, you know, doing like cool stuff. And I think that really like motivated me and like in my art, you know, like I wanted to
Mhm.
make cool female characters like being badasses. And that's basically what I do. Mm.
Okay, so did with Sailor Moon, right? Did you
Mm.
start drawing before Sailor Moon
Oh
or
yeah.
afterwards?
Before I've been drawing basically since I could like hold a pencil. So
Okay.
yeah, like I've always been interested in art. And like when I was younger, it was, you know, definitely something that was really rewarding for me. I think when I got to junior high school, like a lot of people, you know, you starting to try and like fit in with people, and like people would make fun of me for the things that I did and the things that I drew, everything.
Mm.
But it kind of became my way to like build my own world and like, you know, express myself in a way. So like really
Okay.
important.
So you went to college for art as well, right? So tell me
I
about that
did,
journey.
yeah. So actually, I went to an art high school and then to an art college.
Okay.
I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore, and actually, I'm super lucky to have done that. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. Like,
Wow.
both my parents were very like working class people, you know, and it wasn't really something I could actually afford doing. I think like a lot of people who went to college, you know, back then, but
Mm.
I think for me, it was like a really like formative, important opportunity for me because it was like the first time I was leaving Kansas City. It was like my first time being around people who cared about art as much as I did. And it kind
Mhm.
of created a space for me to kind of like become myself a bit more. Cause like I used to hide a lot of those aspects of myself at school because it just wasn't popular to be that way. So,
Hmm. Do you think
yeah.
that has changed right now in terms of the popularity of art?
Yeah, I think kids these days like are really fortunate compared to like when I was growing up. You know, like if you liked anime in like the like 1995 or 97, like number one, nobody knew what anime was, and number two, everybody thought you were like really, really, really weird. Like especially, I went to an
Mm.
all black school, right? Like nobody knew what anime was really, and so. like nowadays kids, I think, are really lucky in that they have a lot of opportunities to like express themselves and like be comfortable with themselves, regardless of like how you identify, like, you know, ethnically or racially or culturally, whatever. So I think kids are really lucky.
Yeah, I think now like anime is like big in the black community. I think it's like a
So big.
massive thing right now,
So
right?
big, so big. Yeah. I'm so jealous. I'm like, I'm a little bit like salty about it because like it's like, well, I was there first. Like I was doing that when I was like not cool, you know. But no, it's
Yeah.
great. It's cool.
And maybe you can be an inspiration. I'm pretty sure you're going to be an inspiration for people watching this right now as well.
That's kind of like one of my like one of my favorite things about what I've been doing with my Instagram actually is that I get a lot of messages from young people who will like, you know, talk to me about their like creative process and like tell me
Mm.
how my art has like inspired me or inspired them, which is kind of crazy to me because I don't think of it as anything like especially special, but when I get those kind of messages, that's like so special to me because I know how important it is for young people to have someone to like, you know, motivate them to do stuff because I had those people too. So it's really special.
Nice. So you're in Japan right now. So what's your
Yeah.
ultimate goal, right? Because you said you wanted to motivate, young artists
Mm.
as well and all these things. So tell me about your goal, your ultimate goal of
You,
being in Japan.
do you want like the big crazy dream or like the realistic dream?
Oh, the big crazy dream. Go big. Go big.
So my biggest, craziest, like stupidest dream that I like want to do someday. I'm like a
Mm.
huge fan of Prince, like the artist
Mm.
formerly known as. And I think Prince was basically an anime character. So I would really, really love to work together on a creative team and like make like a Prince anime,
Oh
like
wow. Okay.
like a short form like exploration of like Prince like as a person and a musician and like a character because like his wardrobe is crazy. Like you know JoJo's by chance, like JoJo's
The
Bizarre.
anime, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't
Like
watched it yet though. Mhm.
I'm not like super keen on it, but I know that the artist who does that does like amazing like fashion illustration, and I like in my head I imagine that would be like such a cool music like hybrid thing. But like realistically, my first step goal is just to
Mhm.
like create like a series, like either like manga or anime series that can become like can kind of bridge the gap. Like I want to tell stories that are outside of like what normal stories you see in like manga are these days, and from a perspective that maybe people aren't quite as used to, and kind of like
Mhm.
bridge the gap between like the East and the West on like that kind of media. Yeah.
Okay, listen, if you guys are watching this and you can help Krissy to make her dream come true, come on, reach out, send a message to her Instagram, tell them her Instagram, right? So listen, if you're into anime, art, manga, anything, whatever it is, if you can make her dream the big one, which is very, very possible,
So
right?
big.
And the one that she calls realistic, right? They're both realistic and possible. So if you can help Krissy make her dream come true, drop her a DM, right? All right. So tell me about your journey to Japan, right? You came to Japan, right, as an
Yeah.
English teacher, which usually is a
Yeah.
vehicle to come to Japan, right? It's like, hey, listen, you get here, you get here,
Yes.
right?
You just however you can get here. Right.
Right.
And yeah, and actually, you know, I'm kind of glad that I've had an opportunity to be an English teacher. Like it's nothing that I ever initially thought, oh, I'm gonna do this thing. But it's been like a really rewarding experience teaching young people and like helping them reach their goals and things like that. So that's been
Mhm.
really additive. But of course it's kind of a stepping stone, not like a destination for me. But really rewarding.
What was your most memorable experience, teaching English? I know you're still teaching right now, but tell me
Yeah.
one experience that stood out in your mind.
Mm. For me, I think one of the most fascinating things that I have like an opportunity to do is like when I teach all grades, so younger people and like adults as well. But like we talk about a lot of like complex topics, you know, higher level students, and it's been really neat for me because I get to talk about, you know, what it's like being a black person in America and like a lot of ways that they've never thought about or never heard about, you know, talking about topics like redlining and like the just the history of like segregation and things like that. Like I tell them like my parents were born at the year when people couldn't like, you know, go where they wanted to go or like, you know, like it's that close in history and they're kind of just like but it's been really
Yeah.
cool and like they're really receptive to it and I think a lot of people just don't have an opportunity to learn about those kinds of things. So It feels
Yeah, this is
cool.
true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's really
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
do you communicate like these ideas in your art at all?
Yeah. It depends on the mood. I'm a very like mood oriented artist. And so if there
Mhm.
is like a feeling or like a, a situation where I'm feeling kind of like my otherness, like I do make art about that, but mostly I just draw badass women being badass, I think.
All right. So tell me about the inspiration. You said earlier that you
Mm.
never saw a lot of like female lead protagonists in animes, right? So you wanted to try to depict that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's your inspiration when you're gonna create a piece. Like, what comes to mind? What do you think? What do you try to like bring out to the world?
Basically, I think every artist puts themselves in their art in some way or another, especially illustrators. But I guess what I want to do is create the like idealistically like powerful version of what I think is like badass woman, right? I like cool, like fun energy, bright color, not afraid to be themselves kind of like people. That's what I like to create.
All
Yeah.
right. Do you since you've been to Japan, has your art changed at all? Like, being around all this amazing like this culture, there's a lot of interesting things there. Has it changed?
Especially Kanazawa. Kanazawa is like a very artistic city. I would say it hasn't changed so much as evolved. Like I've
Mm,
had a lot more time to focus on art than I was before with my previous job. And so I would say the production speed that I have has grown. I've like experimented with different mediums. For example, I had an opportunity to work with screen printing, which I've never done before, and like
all
it's
right.
was like so fun. And so I've been able to just explore different mediums, and that's been really, really fantastic for me.
So you said screen printing, so you make t-shirts and stuff?
I've not made t-shirts yet, but I want to for sure. Now that I know how to do
Okay.
it, like that's on my
Uh,
list.
all right, nice. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit more about just briefly about the job you did before. You said you worked in I think a company in America, cell phone
Yeah.
company. Tell us
Yes,
about
yes.
that.
I used to work for one of the top 3 cell phone companies in America. I started out as a graphic designer, and then I moved up into art director. So,
Mhm.
which came with a lot of great like opportunity and a lot of stress. So,
Okay.
yeah, I traveled a lot for work, which was really awesome because I was in Kansas City. So I had to fly to
Mm.
LA pretty regularly to do commercial shoots. I've worked with people like Lele Pons, Jake Paul, like these kind of like modern popular influencers doing a lot of
Mhm.
social media stuff. But it was like a really like excellent learning opportunity. I've always liked film, and so working on like set with people who do film was like a really like awesome experience, and I learned a lot from that.
So
Yeah.
why did you transition from that? A lot of people would say that sounds like a dream job.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, but here's the thing. Like at least in Japan, they have this like expression like black company, right? So
Mm,
essentially I was working for a black company. My boss was always of the mindset of, "Oh, we wear many hats around here." And what that meant was that I had to be on call and ready to work like at any time during the weekends or whatever, and like at the behest of my CEO, I had to get up and do 50 versions of something for them to like decide they don't want anything. And so it
mm.
just became really stressful for me. I didn't feel valued there. And after coming back from my first vacation to Japan, I was talking about it with my coworkers, and my boss overheard me talking about it. And she said to me, if you like Japan so much, why don't you just live there? And I thought, yeah, I could, I could do that. So
Yeah.
I quit my job and I moved to Japan.
Wow. Like cold turkey. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, you know what? Why not? I don't have any kids yet. I might as well do the thing.
Okay. So
Um,
tell me about like when you first landed in Japan, what was that like? When you actually moved here, officially got your apartment, you walked in and you're like, wow, okay, I'm
oh,
actually here. What was that like?
overwhelming. I think like anybody who's ever moved to another country can probably relate to the feeling of just like, whoa, what did I just do when you first get here? Because it's like such a big difference, and like
Mm,
everything is different. And so like the first day, I think I was so overwhelmed with like work and like learning about that, that was really hard. But like after a week of like adjusting to the way things are, I kind of immediately fell in love with like being here, and like I feel comfortable here in a lot of ways I've never felt comfortable. Like for example, one thing I noticed when I first came here is like walking home at night when you're in America, as a woman especially, you feel primed to like be careful, and you're always like on like paying attention, you're on edge about things.
Mm.
And I noticed walking home from a bar one day that it was really quiet and like really peaceful, and like I was like afraid for no reason, and I realized I don't have to feel that way here. And that was like such a like wow moment for me, because like wow, I've lived like that my whole life, and like wow, there is a place where I don't have to feel like that all the time. That was kind of like wow.
Wow. So I think we can
Yeah.
segue a little bit into your Black experience as a Black woman in Japan, all right? So tell us some more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. I think maybe I've been lucky. I really haven't experienced anything particularly negative. Like, one of the interesting things for me too that I notice is like I often feel when I feel like an other here, I often feel like I am a foreigner, not like I am Black, right? Like
Mm.
I am collectively just different, which is kind of a different experience compared to being in America, where like people say you are Black, you're Black. Um, that said, I do get a lot of like random like obviously if I have blonde hair, people say Beyonce. I'm like thanks. or I get the random like guy trying to impress me by talking Jamaican at me, which is really funny. I am not Jamaican. I don't know. So, but
Yeah.
it's actually been overall positive, I think. I think like everyone kind of struggles with the fact that, when you live somewhere for a long time and you don't look or are the same as far as like aesthetically, like culturally beautiful, in the country that you're in. I
Mm.
think that can kind of weigh on you from time to time. Like if I go shopping, I can't find clothes that fit me very well just because of the way that my body is shaped. I can't look like what Japanese girls like or like men in Japan think of as like beautiful by like Japanese
Mm.
standards. So like dating has been kind of tricky, but everything else I think experiences overall has been pretty good.
So
Yeah.
what has your experience been dating in Japan? What's the
Hmm.
biggest challenge you found?
Obviously language. I think if anybody has any hope of like having a relationship in Japan, learn Japanese. Like even if you can find someone who speaks English, I think it's good that you can communicate fully, so learn some Japanese. That will go a long way. My first boyfriend that I had here was very, very, very Japanese, and I spoke no Japanese at the time, and he spoke no English at the time. So pretty much we were just like, ii, thank you desu ne, ii. Mm. So, but
I'm sorry.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, it's
The reason I'm laughing,
uh.
that's one of the first Japanese phrases in the textbooks, right? Oh,
Yeah,
eat it.
yeah,
This
yeah, yeah.
never-
So.
And then
So that's
you hear the crickets afterwards, like, oh, what else?
mm,
Right? Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So how do
So
you navigate that? How do you navigate that?
well, I think gestures go a long way. I think even broken Japanese is better than no Japanese. So just making
Mm.
the effort was like good enough for a while. But it was just kind of like fun. It wasn't really something I would have like considered seriously, but I think finding a serious partner has been a challenge here, because
Mm.
even so, the way I always like, describe it, it's like the hierarchy of like dating in Japan for foreign girls is pretty challenging, because
Mm.
Japanese men want Japanese women, foreign men want Japanese women,
Mm.
foreign women. So Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So language was a thing that maybe caused a relationship to kind of like dissolve,
For
maybe.
sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and that
Okay.
was like when I was just here, so it just wasn't working.
Okay. So how is it Japanese now? Like, have you tried to study more, or you're too busy?
今勉強してます。でも難しい. Yeah, I study,
Okay.
but I'm not very good. My brain is
Well,
old.
no, no, no. I don't believe in that part. Yeah, I
It's
think we all can. It's just time, right? Maybe you're too
yeah.
busy, right?
I
Yeah.
you know, I go to I work all day and then after work I draw all night. So I like
Yeah.
really don't have a lot of time, but I'm trying to commit more time to it during the
Yeah.
daytime.
I wanted to talk about the culture in Japan in terms of art. Like, what's the difference, the
Mm.
main difference, right, between the art culture or the life of an illustrator in America versus in Japan? Like, what's that like? Are they more appreciative of art in Japan? Do you think?
I feel like overall as a culture, like art is a lot more commonplace than it is in America, especially like
Okay.
character art, like drawing and stuff. Like you look everywhere and you see illustration of like everything has like a character, you know, the hospital does, the police do, like illustration is like so much more integrated into the culture because of the history of like art in Japan than it is in the West. And that has been really like, I think I feel a lot more respected when I say that I do things like comic books and stuff like that here than I do in the States, for sure.
Do you know anything of the about the history of art in Japan? I was a little bit curious about that. Do you know anything at all
About,
about
sorry.
the history of art in Japan?
Oh yeah, I studied Japanese art in university, so I know a
Okay.
little bit about the history of like ukiyo-e and like like traditional ink painting and like printmaking and things like that. So I mean, like as a culture, Japan has sort of been an innovator in a lot of like mediums like ink and print. Obviously, China and Japan like printmaking was like really really like their kind of thing for a long time. Woodblock print. So the history is really rich with that kind of art, and I think it shows in like anime. Actually, I was one of my students is a professor at Kyoto University, or was a professor, and he told me something really interesting that I hadn't really thought about. The differences between like Eastern and Western art. It's that traditionally, like Eastern art always has had like a strong line and compared to like Western art, which has like always been for more realism and like painterly like art, and that comes from the tradition of like wood blocking and like carvings and ink, because that is so integrated into their culture. It comes through in animation, and that's why like 2D animation is still more popular than like 3D animation, because it feels more Japanese to Japanese people because that's their culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
yeah,
Right? It's pretty
yeah.
interesting actually. Like
It's
I'm an
really
anime fan, like
fascinating.
yeah. I'm also an
Yeah.
artist too, but I'm not
Oh,
professional,
really?
of course. Yeah,
Eh,
like I drew like a ton of stuff. Like all the boys in my family, and my daughter now, she's drawing all the time. Like she's just like
that must
sketching,
be so
and she's
great.
7. Yeah. Just like,
Eh.
I should show her the art. If I show this, she's gonna be excited when she watches the interview. Wait, let me show you this.
Yeah, I want to
Wait
see.
1 second. The scar here. She drew this. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Right.
it's cute.
So so
How old is she?
she's 7, and
Yeah, nice, nice, nice.
she said I like cars, and so she saw this car. She's like, "Oh, Daddy, I saw this car, right? This and she described it. So I'm like, you know what? Can you draw a picture of it for me?" She's like, "Okay," and she drew it, and this is the
That's so
depiction of what she
cute.
saw.
That's so
Right? Yeah,
cute. That's
she likes
lovely.
art a lot, right? So that's good.
Encourage it, encourage it. One of the things I always wished, like when I was younger, like my mom was always like really really supportive of me being an artist. My dad not so much.
Mm,
And so I think the most important thing people can do for kids who are creative like that is just push, like give them all of the space and the tools they need to like build that, because I think it's such a valuable skill to have, even if they don't become an artist. Like it's such a great way to like find yourself and be yourself through art,
yeah,
you know?
indeed. Because all the boys in my family, for some reason, I don't know why, all the boys can draw, but
Yeah.
the women can't. The girls can't for some
Eh,
reason. So my daughter drawing now is like, I'm like, oh
it's like a
snap,
big deal.
yeah, but my wife also has like artistic talent. She draws as well,
Ah.
right? So I'm like, okay, maybe it's just both genes just like produce like my
Connecting, yeah.
daughters, right? So
So
she's
yeah.
she draws a lot. I got her stuff all over my room because I'm like, hey,
That's
like, but I
great.
can't. They're on this wall, and I gotta walk over there.
So,
Oh, she did this. Oh, look at this. So this is like, wait. So she did this,
oh, happy
right? So
birthday.
right, yeah. So like this is her in the
Nice.
middle, and that's
Of course.
me over here, and her mom,
Mom.
right? And it's like, so yeah, so she does stuff like this all the time. So I'm doing this because when she watches the video, she's gonna be like, oh, she's gonna be
Ah,
excited
it's
that I'm showing
my
the world. So I'm putting it there. But yeah, art,
pigment.
like, it's beautiful, right? So I want you to
Yeah.
tell me about some things that you've done so far. You said comic books, and I know you
Mm,
had an art show in Japan too,
mm.
actually. So tell us about those experiences and some of the work that you've done before.
So yeah, I had an art show here. I had two art shows actually. And one of the art shows I actually got to do a limited edition like beer
Oh,
label, which is
oh,
cool, like for
cool.
Kanazawa beer. Yeah.
Nice. Congrats.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, so that was the second one. The first one I did, I like through a connection, I was like just kind of lucky enough to talk to the bartender, and I showed him my art, and he was like, "Oh, well, why don't you do an art show here?" And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." I have no art, so I had
Mhm.
to, because I don't have access to like high scale printers or anything like that, and I kind of
Okay.
wanted to do something different. I decided I wanted to do painting, right? And so I decided I was going to do 32 paintings, 32? 32 paintings to fill up this whole bar space. And the theme was the Chinese zodiac. And so for each character in the zodiac, I did a human representation and an animal representation, and like all throughout the bar in bright colors and stuff like that. And I was working all day, and then I would come home at night and I would sit on the floor in my Leo Palace apartment and just paint until I was going to fall asleep. And I would just keep
Mhm.
doing that until I did 32 pieces. And I finished
Wow.
it. And that was such a cool experience for me. This one is probably one of my favorite ones. This girl with like a baseball bat, like holding like spikes on the bat and whatever. And she's like controlling this big like Inishishi wild boar,
Mm.
and it's got a very like Princess Mononoke kind of like vibe to it, because I always really liked the way the animals were in that piece.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like this wild like energy, but like being controlled, you know. And then like these really cool like sliced like cross sections that I was like doing, where like you can kind of see like this like, everybody says it's kind of grotesque because it looks like blood, but it's like
Mhm.
rainbow color, you know. But I never really thought of it as like grotesque until someone was like, "Why are you always drawing things like cut up like that?" And it's like, "Oh, I guess it is grotesque."
So what
But
were you thinking when you did it? Like, what was your impression of the piece?
so I you do you remember like Jawbreakers? Like the
Jawbreakers.
hard, have you ever had a Jawbreaker? It's like a hard candy and
Yeah.
it's got like
Yes.
different layers. So like when you cut a Jawbreaker in half, the way that they're like made, there's like different colors, right? And so I, for some reason, was like obsessed with like cross sections of things. I was like watching YouTube videos of like people like cutting things in half and like, oh, that's what that looks like on the inside. And so I kind of was just like, well, what if like when you cut things in half, you know, it's just like this beautiful like rainbow like goodness inside. And that's kind of where that came from,
Yeah.
I think. But
Okay. I think people
so
see it and they're like, sword
yeah.
butchering, right?
So
Maybe that's what.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. But no, it's fun, it's colorful, it's bright, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah,
Not
it's
violent.
interesting how people see like the way they interpret art, right? You see
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
you create something, and then people just give it a different meaning to it. Like, I see
yeah,
this,
yeah.
right?
I think that's one of my favorite things about art is like, you know, it's a different experience for every person. And I don't think any experience that they have with it is invalid. Like what your art makes someone feel is like totally valid. I think that's really cool.
All right, nice. So do you
Yeah.
sell your pieces as well? Is there like a website people could go and say, hey, let's order some of Chris's
Mm,
art? No?
So, it's tricky right now because I live in Japan. Like it's hard to like deal with the fine, like my visa and stuff like that. So right now I'm not selling too much stuff. I'm trying not to.
Mhm.
In person, if you come and see my work at the bar, you could definitely purchase some of those pieces. They are available. But in the future, one of my goals this year is to try and figure out how to do like an online shop again. I used to have one. I sold prints and stuff like that, and t-shirts. I I guess I do sell t-shirts from time to time. So if you pay attention, I do very limited like releases of things. And of course I do commissions upon request.
So I see like you got some bass guitars behind you, right?
Yes, these are
So
my
are
children. Yeah.
okay, so you're also into music as well. So tell me
Yeah.
about that side of you.
So one of the things I do get from my dad is like a love of music. I grew up in a very musical household. My dad had a guitar. Like I, I grew up on like heavy metal and like Black Sabbath and Metallica and stuff like that. But when I got older, I was in a punk rock band with my
Okay.
friends in high school.
Okay.
Not very good, not very good, but like music has always been like I've played violin, I've played clarinet, I played flute, I play bass guitar. I don't play piano, but I want to. I have a keytar, but yeah, I music is probably what I would say is my hobby. Like art is not like drawing isn't my hobby. Drawing is like my passion, right?
Mhm.
Music is my hobby. Like I like making music, I like singing. I make music from time to time and I post it on my Insta. And I there's a karaoke bar near my place that does like live music karaoke with like a band and stuff like that. And it was actually one of the first places I went. And the bar owner doesn't speak any English at all, but like he like tried his best with like Google Translate, and he was just like, I can tell you're lonely, so please come here anytime. And so I started going there kind of regularly, and now it's like super strange, but they call me like Utahime, which means like song princess. So my ego is like bah when I go sing there, but I discovered too since I came here like how much I really love singing. Like
Mm.
I sing every weekend and it is so like refreshing for me. Like I love the adrenaline rush from singing.
So if people want to come and see you sing, if you
Yeah.
want to divulge the info for the place, you can.
Yeah, it's this really cute bar in Kanazawa, of course, near Katamachi. It's called Minsha. It's like a really small bar, but you can't miss it because it's upstairs and there's like a drum set right in the window. And I used to walk by it on my way home from work like every day. And like one day I finally got brave enough. I was like, I really want to go there, and like I went there. So please come see me sometime. It's like a really laid back environment. It's really fun.
Which day of the week is it? Um,
Every day,
okay. So what,
just
you
about
go
every
there
day.
every day or you
No. I go there probably on Saturday after work if I've had like a really day, or like Sunday, which is my day off. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So okay. I want you to tell me a little bit about heavy metal, right? Because I might be one of those people who just don't understand it. So tell me, like, what draws you to it? Yeah, explain.
Well, okay. To be fair, I don't listen to a lot of heavy metal these days, but the guitar work, I think for me, like as a musician who like appreciates like the technical skill of like playing a guitar, like I
Mhm.
just think it's like if you really focus on the melody of the guitar, it's just so gorgeous that like people can do that like so fast. I really love
Mhm.
that. I'm not a huge fan of like the like
Yeah,
singing.
I'm like,
That's
wait, what's he saying? Huh?
that's
Not
not
this.
really my vibe. Yeah. So but
Okay, interesting.
I love the musicality of it, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of the like the how do you say, like the aesthetic, like the atmosphere of it, I kind of like I'm into. uh
Mhm.
Again, another thing I was not popular for in high school, liking rock music.
So tell me, like, what's the best life advice you have received?
I don't know if it's anything I received, but maybe based on like personal experience. The best advice I can give, I do what you love. Do it. If you can do it. And if there's a challenge in the way of doing it, face that challenge, because I think life is super short. And if you don't take a chance to do something when you can, you may never get a chance to do it again. So like if the
Mm,
opportunity is there, like seize it, like do it. Yeah.
true. That's how I'm in Japan because
Me
the
too.
opportunity came and
Yeah,
then I'm like, huh?
exactly.
Well, I could always stay and do this, but Japan, who knows if
But
I'm going to ever get the
Japan,
opportunity, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's why I think that's why a lot of people end up here, actually. So like if you want to come to Japan and you've been like worried about it or thinking about it, do some research, study some Japanese and do it if you can. Like there's always teaching. Teaching is a really easy way to get in. And then from there there's so many opportunities for people here, I think, especially
So, any advice for other Black women who want to come to Japan, right? Like they're watching this right now. I'm sure there's
mm,
a lot watching, right? Tell them something. Like, what would you tell yourself, like, that was maybe watching this interview, right? Contemplating coming to Japan. What advice would you give?
number 1, just do it. Number 2, maybe bring your own clothes. It's really hard to find clothes if you're a woman who has curves. Definitely. But no, seriously, just do it, I think if you're worried that people won't accept you, they will. Like people are very open, people are very accepting. Don't stress out if you feel like people are saying, oh, you're different, like it's okay to be different and you'll never be able to not be different. I think lean into that difference because it is like a superpower, like you are different, and because you are different you have access to things that other people don't. Take that, use that, and make it like your own, right? That's a
Okay.
superpower, being different here.
So what about like places to get maybe clothes or like your hair done and stuff like that? Like
Well,
how do you cope with that? Because I know you're all the way out there. I drove, it's like what, 6, 8 hours drive from
yeah,
Tokyo?
yeah,
That
it's
is
very
that is
far.
far.
I'm gonna say it's rough. It's rough out here. Um, I guess I shop online a lot. There is thankfully like an H&M and a Uniqlo, but like the thing that I struggle with is a lot of things are just kind of baggy right now. Like the fashion for women is very baggy, and I have a chest, and so if I wear a baggy thing, I just kind of look like a tent. So I don't love that fashion trend for me right now, but I shop
Okay.
online like a lot. I
Yeah.
do that. But as far as hair goes, I think wigs have been my best friend. I usually wear my hair natural for school and things like that. But if I want to do something like aesthetic or like with a style, I just pop on a wig and go about my day. There's like no
Yeah.
hairstylists or like black hairstylists around here. Maybe in Toyama, there's one person, but that's like in Toyama. So
Yeah, it's like it's really hard. Sometimes even like my wife, she's trying to find clothes, same struggle. What do you like the most about living in Japan?
number one thing for sure, like peacefulness, like peaceful like atmosphere, peaceful like mentally, like peaceful, like I don't have to think about like American politics, which has been really nice, like people are like friendly. Kanazawa especially has literally the best like fish in all of Japan, so like the food here is like cheap, like like really high quality food is like really affordable here, and that's been like why I have to run. um but I love the food. I love the energy. I'm near like the mountains. I'm near the ocean. So like at any time if I want to be in nature, I can do that. Like I love that. Like I'm from Kansas
Yeah.
City and it's flat, like there is no ocean, there are no mountains, there is just grass. So it's so refreshing to just be here. Hmm.
Okay, so what do you miss the most about America? Just
Mexican
one
food.
thing.
Mexican
That's
food.
it.
No.
Mex-
No, no. No, 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 no. I miss my family, of course. Yeah,
okay.
I miss my dog and my little brother, and my dad and stuff, Mm.
Yeah.
But also Mexican food, definitely.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the world before we hop off?
Oh, I was gonna say, I have like two things maybe. First thing, if you are a black woman and you can do hair and you want to change your life game up and make a lot of money, I think you should come to Japan because there is such a market for like that kind of like business here. We need
Mhm.
you. Please come here. I need you. I need someone to do my hair. So if you're out there, please come. It's very, very open. um,
True.
it really is. But no, like number one, thank you for giving me an opportunity to like talk to you today. Mm,
Yeah, no
it's been
problem.
really fun. I think again, like if you are ever like thinking, oh, should I come to Japan? Like just do it. I think it's been probably one of the best life decisions I've made in my adult life, you know? And it's hard sometimes because it is isolating sometimes. You can't
Mm,
speak to everybody the way you want to. You can't communicate the way you want to. But I think in that challenge, I've been able to grow so much as a person, even with COVID, you know. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who I can become as an artist and a person in the future. So I'm really excited about that here.
all right. So we told people to support you by, going to your Instagram. Is there anywhere in particular that you'd like people to show support?
Instagram is like my number one place for sure. I also am on Twitter, so if you want to follow me there, I'm at Krissy Diggs there too. I got to every social media early, so I could get my name. um,
Awesome.
yeah, Instagram, Twitter, those are my big spots. So please follow me. Reach out to me if you have any questions about art. Don't hesitate to ask. I love like giving advice about that too. So yeah,
All right. So, Krissy, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you so much.
Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Thumbs up, two, three, maybe four.
Four.
Well, I got only have two,
I had
four,
four.
right? Four thumbs up, right?
Uh,
If you like the video, and subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.
Thank
Bye
you
for
so
now.
much.